The next thing I want to talk about is auto closing and non-auto closing tags. This is something obvious, but we didn't talk about yet because it's something that we just use during each session, and we see non-auto closing tags like heading one, paragraph, list item, or release or forms. And also we were look or well we are also cover auto closing tags like emg, video, or meta or link. What is the difference between these tags? And maybe if you're asking about, hey, I can use an hidden one as auto closing tag, the short answer is no, because HTML, the standard HTML, defines, okay, here we have the non-auto closing and auto closing tags, and that's depend on the utility. For example, it's common use auto closing tags when we are talking about empty or void elements like image, because when once you insert an image is not necessary or is not relevant, try to get into elements inside the image. You can do something like that, but using CSS. But it's impossible. I don't know. Use image in this way. For example, as you can see, the autocomplete is wrong, and maybe this is impossible. This ain't work. Ain't work. And as you can see, let me start the local server. And as you can see, is for example the image won't load, and maybe this is in semantic way is not correct at all. But because the idea is use auto closing tags in that specific context, in this particular case, just like an image. But something like that is not necessary at all. It's not common, and I don't recommend do like this or try to convert auto closing on or in non-auto closing or reverse is not necessary. And as you can see, maybe we can use also the meta tag that allows implement extra information in our HTML page, but also we can use in, for example, if we are going to talk about, I don't know, the name, and we are going to talk about the author, we can use author, and in my case use as content, the attribute content, my name. But as you can see, it's not necessary that the meta tag will be an non-auto closing tags, because it's not necessary. And if you ask me, there are a lot of non-auto closing tags, because in HTML almost tags are containers. For example, you can insert an image inside a, for example, paragraph tag, just like that. And this is not wrong, because if your paragraph are talking about image, that's it. It's not a big deal. But if you try to do the opposite way, like, I don't know, try to get into a paragraph inside the image, that is semantic incorrect. And maybe, as you can see, there are results. You can see the image, and you can see the hidden one using standard styles, but that's not correct. You don't have, or you should, or you don't need, or you shouldn't this, because that had no sense. And maybe it's common once you are learning HTML, ask why I can use an image and use an other tag inside. And maybe it's not a big deal, because in practice you can use a lot of different content like image, video, hidden. If you want to, I don't know, move this section to the right and get this image to the left and change the color or change the size, all that is matters about CSS. In this particular case is just try to memorize what HTML tags are auto closing and what are non auto closing tags. And I think that's all. This episode was successful. Our HTML course is almost finished, but there are still some interesting topics that we have to cover to understand why HTML is just like that. And in this particular case, notice the difference between auto closing tags and non auto closing tags. So see you in the next time. Bye.